Right. Thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry you have to deal with me and not with Kjetil. He's very sad that he couldn't come. I'm advisor for Kjetil Kjenser, who is a member of parliament for the Liberal Party, and he is also the leader of the Committee for Energy Environment in the Norwegian Parliament. He was really, really sorry he couldn't come, and I apologize that you have to deal with me. I started as a political advisor for the Liberal Party last October. So I was not involved in the negotiations when my party, the Liberal Party, entered the government in 2018. But I think I can say with certainty that there's no coincidence that the following sentence entered the government platform at the same time as the Liberal Party entered the government. Because we got this sentence in the platform. The government wants that Norway should be a pioneer in the development of a green circular economy that utilizes resources better. So I'm sure you're aware of that. And as you mentioned, we are working on this national strategy for circular economy. But just where we come from in the Liberal Party, this is very close to our mandate, our commitment to care for the nature and to highlight the potential and opportunities that lies in circular economy and circular approach to utilization of resources. We understand circular economy as something far beyond waste management. It's really about the essence of good economy, utilizing resources efficiently. I come from a part of Norway called Sunnmøre. How many Norwegians are there? A few. Yeah, okay. So you know that Sunnmøre, the people coming from Sunnmøre, we're known for not spending money unwisely. And so I feel like circular economy has been part of my upbringing. But we just didn't call it that. We didn't have a name for it. It was just like my parents' generation and the one before lived. But if we put the joke aside, what we think about circular economy means that we have an expanded view of what resources are and how they can be utilized most efficiently. In a world where there's pressure on natural resources and it's increasing rapidly, it's crucial for the environment and the climate that resources are used and reused more efficiently. So we think that the circular economy helps to reduce the pressure on natural resources. In 2018, the government passed a white paper called Waste as a Resource in Norway. And while doing this, the parliament also sent a request to the government to make this national strategy. So this task now lies with the Minister for Climate and Environment and his crew, and he's from the Liberal Party. However, even though this request came from the waste report, the task is much larger than waste management, and we are strongly aware of that. So the national strategy must be broader than what is covered by the climate and sorry, what's the name? The Ministry of Climate and Environment, sorry. And the instrument that is his responsibility. So the strategy must consist of contributions from a number of ministers affected by circular economy. So there's now formed a state secretary committee that's working on this task, both from, what are the names in English? The Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Næring, what is that? Business, Ministry of Business. They're all involved in this work, and that's very important from our perspective that they have to be strongly involved in this work, and they are. So when we talk about circular economy and about using resources efficiently and as efficient as possible, In many ways, this is common sense. Everyone really understands it and the common sense behind it. We need to take better care of resources, we need to reuse them and reduce our waste. Still, there's no quick fix in this. As there are quite a few Norwegians here, you know that the political scene right now is quite polarized. On the one hand, you have a lot of young people who are demonstrating. They don't go to school and they come to the parliament and they are saying very clearly that we want you to be more concerned about environment. And then, on the other hand, we have also a huge rebellion against restrictions and increased charges on driving. So this is very polarized. However, we believe that reducing climate gas emission is urgent, and it will require us to change the way we live our lives and our society. And we in the Liberal Party, we believe that it can also be done at the same time as we create new opportunities. We believe that climate solutions and creating new jobs and new opportunities are two sides of the same issue. We know that the climate changes are man-made, but we think also that the climate solutions are man-made. So we think that it needs political will, it needs the effort of research, of business developers, of companies, but also awareness from consumers. If we all work together, it will be able to change many things in a short time. But we do have to do something about the fact that the amount of waste is actually increasing. It has increased 3% from 2016 till 2017 in Norway. But we have to see this as a systematic change. We think that we need to see this based on the system that we call the polluter pays principle, where greenhouse gas emissions and utilization of natural resources must be priced higher. Today, there is a 500 krone per ton of CO2 tax in Norway, and we want to increase that to 1,000 krone per ton. And it should be equal for all sectors. We think that this will make a powerful tool for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and also an incentive to create new solutions, a new mindset, a new system, and changes of the behavior of both private individual and companies. We also think this will help ensure that circular products will be able to compete on the market and lay the foundation for circular business models to succeed in competition. You can now change to my second and last slide. We had in December, I think some people might have been present, we had a hearing at the Parliament where we invited a broad range of different groups of both companies and organizations, and we asked, this says, how can we get, anyone wants to translate the, how can we get the wheels going on the circular economy in Norway? And all the participants could enter some suggestions, and this is the list we got. And the one that's on top, it says you have to change the tax system in a circular direction, and we should establish a circular economy tax commission to include financial and economic environments. And the second one is along the same lines, that we have to make sure that the Ministry of Finance and businesses are included in the work. And we totally agree with that. And as I said, this is how we are now approaching with the work with the national strategy. So of course, this is a climate environmental issue, but it's just as much a tax and financial issues. We believe that it must pay off to choose circular solutions, both for consumers and for manufacturers. And we may have to change the system so this can happen. But options must be developed. They must be available, options to the more linear way of thinking and the way most products are now produced. But they also must be requested and they must be selected. So we really have to make it more expensive to choose linearly solutions and relatively cheaper to choose circularity. Another point that was made in this hearing that we had is the close relationship and communication and dialogue between businesses, innovators, entrepreneurs. And we believe that it's really important to have good conditions for companies and startups. So we're quite proud that we are working to improve the condition for small and medium-sized companies. That's also part of this issue. A shift to a circular economy requires fundamental changes in how we produce and how we consume. From how products are designed to sharing economics, more use of services over products, repair, reuse, recycling. The politicians' responsibility is to facilitate this to grow, but it must happen in some symbiosis with businesses, researchers, and consumers. So we're talking a systematic change, and it's not happening overnight. But you have to start somewhere, and some things are on their way. The starting point for this work was the waste report, and a lot of things are happening within this sector. Of course, prevention of waste, increased recycling and material recycling of waste. And we have a completely new plastic strategy. Yeah, sorry for my translation. I thought this was going to be held in Norwegian up until I came, so I'm sorry. And then, I don't know if you know, but recently now in May, the government decided that we will introduce a ban on, what do you call it? Engangsplast. Huh? Single-use plastic. Thank you very much. Before the legislation from the EU will be entered. The government is also has an offensive policy against marine litter, and that's, of course, as we all know, a huge global environmental problem. And disposable plastic articles is a significant part of this problem. So in all the kinds of when our Minister for Climate and Environment is involved in discussions on this on international level, this is always something that he's very involved in. Manufacturing of textiles is also a very important issue to handle. And recently, the Minister of Climate and Environment has been in dialogue with the textile industry on appropriate measures. In the future, we need to succeed with what we call green competitiveness. And several industries in Norway has delivered what we call the roadmaps for green competitiveness. So they have pointed out a number of things they themselves have to do in order to to face the challenges that we have on the climate issues. And this is something that the government is very seriously in dialogue with the businesses about, and there will be a conference on this later on in June. So we believe that if we are to succeed in turning the circular economy into reality, all major important sectors must be involved. The finance sector has a key role in allocating resources in a way that enables this. And it's also about turning the financial streams that already exist. The Paris Agreement has one of this goal is concerning this. Kjetil Kjenseth is a member of the Nordic Council and is also the leader of the Sustainability Committee there. And circular economy is a central part of this work. And we believe that this is an issue where collaboration is central. And we know, and we're following very closely what the other Nordic countries are doing on these issues, and we think we have a lot to learn from each other. So it's an excellent issue where we should collaborate even closer. My end remark is very Norwegian, so I think maybe I have to skip it. But as I started with, the government is in process of designing this national strategy. The layout is not. I don't know the details about this because it's in the government. But from the parliament side, we're putting pressure on it, and we have high expectations for the strategy. But I think also it's important that players outside of the political scene should have expectations and should give your input. So I think I'll end with that.
All right, thank you. Let's give her a hand. And thank you for